Today's video is a little different than our usual DIY fare. Today we get the Miata back out to Toronto Motorsports Park to figure out two things. Firstly, I do my best to put the car through its paces, paying particular attention to the mods that we've done throughout the course of this build. We'll get into a review of each of them later on in the video. Feel free to skip ahead if you're only interested in these impressions from a track driving perspective. Timestamps below. Secondly, I try to set a new personal best lap time. My basis of comparison is Speed Academy's YouTube Track Challenge NB Miata. They invited YouTuber guests to set a lap time in their car, and they maintained a lap time leaderboard. At the top sits a 1:27.2 set by a Grid Life touring car racing driver, besting both Pete and Dave's best lap times of a 1 minute 27.4 and 27.5 respectively. Check out that series here. It's super entertaining, especially for Miata track enthusiasts. Alright, all that said, cue the track intro. Hey there, I'm a DIY track guy. This is a racetrack, and today I drive my Miata. Alright, so since the last time I've been here, I've done a few upgrades to the car, including those Paco Motorsport Strong Arms up front, the Flyin Miata cannon brace in the rear, and this really nice Bride Racing bucket seat. Alright, let's give it a go. My first two sessions weren't that great. In tricky conditions, the car was extremely twitchy, and I doubted the setup. More on that later. But once the sun came out, the air temps rose to about 13 degrees Celsius, and the track surface warmed considerably. It allowed me to play with the balance of the car, like braking points, entry slip angle, trail braking, etc. And the car ran really well. I found myself just enjoying the fun of driving on track. I'll be quiet for a moment. Here's my fastest lap of the day. At a 1 minute 28.3, that improves my personal best by about a second, which unfortunately is more than a second off the Speed Academy racing driver's time, but, and here comes the excuses, the cars aren't equal. Their 1.8 liter motor develops 142 horsepower and has cheater bolt-on mods like an intake, a catalyst exhaust system, a nice set of adjustable coilovers, not to mention their higher standard of build and the skill of their drivers. But considering all that, I'm pleased with my performance, and I know from my Race Corner lap timer that there's time in it if I could just string together a lap. Lap times only tell one side of the story though, so let's talk about mods. And my viewpoint is through the lens of a dual-duty, frequent track driving street car, not a daily commuter or a strictly track-only trailer queen. My purpose is to drive the car to the track, burn as many laps in anger as I can stand, and then drive the car home. This Miata has received no engine mods except for a poorly located open element air filter, and we all know a 1.6 liter original motor produced 116 horsepower and 100 torques when new. But this isn't new, and I'd be surprised if it could put down even 100 wheel horsepower, and that's optimistic. It's probably more like 90. In addition, or maybe subtraction, I fitted a Type 2 Torsen limited slip differential from a 2005 NB with a 3.9 final drive. A 3.9 made it to a 5-speed transmission. Yep, that's less than ideal. In the Torsen install video here, a follower of the channel commented on the challenging attributes of the Torsen, and this on-track experience highlighted his argument. I found in corners with a bit of entry slip angle and an aggressive power on exit, the 2.5:1 torque ratio of the Torsen showed its shortcomings, transferring torque from side to side in a strange manner. I don't recall this kind of behavior in other Torsen-equipped Miatas, including my old MSM, but on this day, in this car, it was noticeable and an odd sensation. I don't know if that means my Torsen is worn out or there's something wrong with my setup. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. Leave a comment. Despite these faults, the drivetrain can run reliably all day, and once I accepted the lack of power, poor gearing, and non-progressive LSD, the rest of the car came alive. So the takeaway here is if you're building a budget Miata track toy, I'd recommend waiting on the power adder mods. The draw to the Miata isn't 500 horsepower or twin turbos. At its core, it's a no-frills, lightweight, rear-wheel drive, seat-time machine that has so much to teach about proper track driving technique, even in its lowly, underpowered form. And to give this an air of a legit product review, let's use an arbitrary rating system and put the Torsen limited slip differential into the "it can wait" column. As a refresher, I've added a bunch of weight to the car in order to increase rigidity and reduce undamped flex and oscillations. At least that's what I tell myself. Front to back, the car now has Paco Motorsport strong arm fender braces, R-Theory frame rails, Garage Star door bushings, an MT Motorsports roll bar, and a Flyin Miata Cannon rear subframe brace. It's debatable if these mods alone or together contribute to better lap times, but I feel like a more solid chassis increases my enjoyment on track and especially on the street. And it does feel decently solid even compared to more modern cars. To sum up, a quality roll bar, definitely a buy it now, and while we're at it, so are those R-Theory frame rails. The FM Cannon brace and the door bushings, it can wait. Those Paco Motorsport strong arms, I really like them, but if I have to make a choice, it's on the edge of it can wait. This car sits on Flyin Miata's VMaxx Xxtreme coilovers set to their track config, and I find them very soft and allow too much body roll for my liking. But they do an admirable job of soaking up bumps on track and don't complain about smothering some of the more aggressive curbing. For sure, a proper set of track dampers like Zetas or Öhlins will improve lap times, but for what these are at their budget-friendly price point, I find these exceptionally adequate. And adequate's good. When it comes to coilovers, there's some alarmingly cheap options on the market out there of questionable quality, and even some name brand ones I've tried are quite not good in my opinion. So let's drop coilovers into the it can wait pile if you have properly functioning shocks and springs. If your current setup's blown and you're looking to upgrade to a good set of coilovers, buy it now. On to one of the first mods I installed, the Flyin Miata anti-sway bars front and rear, install video here. In preparation for this track day, I decided to have a little bit of fun with the setup and up the bars to max stiff all around. In past, I've always set up my cars with a little more bar at the front and a slightly softer rear. It's a safer setup, and my thought is that a little bit of understeer, especially in those scary moments, is preferable to a big oversteer event. But at TMP in this car, the speeds and the risks are as low as they get, so I figured why not try something different. Surprisingly, the handling turned out to be super engaging, super fun, and it has me rethinking my preference for a safer setup. I feel like it's all happening in that brief moment of turn-in, playing with different trail braking pressures, feeling the chassis respond and rotate, listening for tire scrub, staying on top of the slip angle, and once the car is pointed in the right direction, you pin the throttle, the rear grips up, and the exit's undramatic, boring even. But from that turn-in to apex phase, it's so much fun and there's so much to learn. But in terms of tuning your car's handling setup for improved lap times, besides the absolute basics of tire pressures and adjusting your coilovers damping, this is one of the most basic components that can make a noticeable and immediate difference and hopefully make us faster on track. All that said, and obviously I'm very excited about this topic, my vote for those sway bars is buy it now. Nothing's changed since the last track day when it comes to tires and brakes. I still love the Hankook RS4s for their generous balance of long life and grip. For sure there's faster 200 treadwear tires, and if you're chasing tense, that's an easy button. But if you're a budget Miata track day enthusiast like me, one set of RS4s could last you more sessions or seasons than faster tires like RT660s or RE71 RSs. And RS4s can still post respectable lap times, which is why they're a favorite among budget endurance racers like the Champ Car guys. On the brake side, the Wilwood Dynalites and the Maruha Step 2 pads up front are fantastic at this power level. I like how the initial bite's really high up on the brake pedal, and it has really great feel and progression as you increase pressure. I was expecting them to fade, but through 45-minute sessions, they stayed rock solid with zero complaints. Out back, we've got 1.8 rear brakes using the Goodwin Racing adapter brackets, an 11-inch sport rotor, and PowerStop Track Day Spec pads. And there's a Chikara brake bias adjuster under the hood, which I didn't touch at all. I should probably play with that to see if we can get even more braking performance. So the Hankook RS4s are another set of good tires, definitely a buy it now. The Wilwoods and the 1.8 liter rear brakes, they can wait, provided you have a nice set of track brake pads and rotors and you've done a brake fluid flush with good, high quality brake fluid. Let's quickly touch on the interior ergonomic mods that we all know and love. It's so nice to have a sexy steering wheel, quick release hub, a weighted billet shift knob, and a JDM bucket seat, right? Absolutely nice, but to get out on track and get some seat time, nope, they can all wait. But I really love this seat, so I'll put that right on the edge. For me, the most important things about track day drivings are safety, reliability, and speed, in that order. Thanks to my racing friend Nick, I totally stole that from you. A good track day is when the car and me leave in the same condition that we arrived, less some tires and brakes. Although it's fun, the priority is not setting a personal best lap time. And it all begins back at the garage with proper maintenance and prep. We recently changed the spark plugs, wires, a cast O-ring, serpentine belt, a steel braided clutch line, a clutch master and slave cylinder, and a fuel filter. And all the fluids are fresh: brake, clutch, trans, coolant, and engine oil. And finally, we replaced the OEM rad with its plastic end tanks with a nice fancy NB aluminum Griffen rad with SPAL electric fans and new rubber hoses. For sure, none of this stuff is all that sexy, but when we're aiming for that good day, on the other side, there's so many ways to have a bad day at the track. A blown head gasket, rod bearing failure, a seized differential, a blown transmission, or my personal favorite, wheel bearing failure, where you're overtaken by your own wheel assembly as it rolls down track and you're flat spotting a rotor. So let's wrap all those maintenance things into a ball and throw it into the buy it now pile, except for the aluminum rad upgrade, provided you have a good working OEM cooling system. If you're still here, congratulations. I'm not used to that much talking. Track days, super fun, super thrilling, safety, reliability, speed, don't crash, don't blow up, and let's keep our Miatas at a high standard of maintenance so that when we go to the track, we can push it and ourselves to the absolute limit. And that's all from the Mostly Useless Garage. You're awesome, I'm useless, thanks for watching.